Hey baddies.
What's up, guys?
Welcome to episode 6. We are talking today about what I wish I knew. We're keeping this pretty generic, pretty general across the board. We're not sticking to one specific what I wish I knew, because that's kind of seems to be the theme for our entire podcast series is like things that we have learned, things we wish we would have known, and where we're at now. So we're just kind of gonna run with it and see where we wind up. So welcome back. Thank you for continuing to listen through 6 episodes so far, and we hope you guys keep on listening, keep on liking, subscribing, following, all the things. So what's something you wish you knew? If you could sit down with little baby Frankie and say, I want you to know this because I just learned this, I have experienced this, etc., what do you wish baby Frankie would have known?
That you are not going. If I was sitting with my younger self, first thing I would say is you are not overnight going to learn how to tattoo. It's not an overnight process, and it's not something that you can even do in 6 months. It's going to take years, and the progress is going to be very slow. And celebrate the small wins as they come, because the small wins are actually really big victories, especially when you're first learning how to tattoo. So that's what I would say to my younger self is don't expect to be an instant overnight tattoo celebrity sensation, because it's a skill, it's a craft, and all crafts take an insane amount of time to master. You know those sayings, 10,000 hours, you know? So
Rome wasn't built in a day.
Sure wasn't. So that is what I would say. And going with that is Rome wasn't built in a day, but Rome could be destroyed in a day. So I would say don't tear yourself down and destroy everything just because you had one bad day. So that's what I would say to myself. What would you say to baby Becka?
The first thing that comes to mind is I wish I would have known not to tattoo myself with every relationship I was in. Which is so funny because everybody always says, like, don't tattoo a name on you. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't get matching tattoos with anybody. And I did that with everyone in my life. Intimate relationships, friendships, it didn't matter. And now I have a lot of cover-ups because a bitch didn't listen. So that's probably something I would tell myself. I would also tell myself that she's not the one for you. Don't get married. Because I felt at that age that I was at an age where I should be in a relationship. I should be buying a home. I should be ahead of the curve. You know what I mean? And so I feel like much towards our last episode, it kind of instilled I have to get this done. What's the next best thing? What's this? What's the next? And so I kind of forced myself into positions and into rooms that weren't quite meant for me yet. And while I don't regret where I'm at now because of forcing myself into those certain rooms and the things that I've learned from it, I wish I could have told myself at a younger age what to kind of wait on, what to avoid, and what to look out for. When to recognize. Because now when people ask me, like, oh, when did things start getting bad? They were never good. So it was probably about 4, 5, 6 months in that things started to just go downhill. And so I really wish I could have known how to see those things and recognize those things sooner. What else would you have told your younger self, or what else do you wish you knew?
Well, to piggyback off that, definitely to learn when to let go of a relationship when things aren't working. Because I feel like in my past relationship, I really tried to fix something that it wasn't even broken. It just wasn't working. You know what I mean? And I was just, and you know, the obvious one I feel like that I'm missing here is choose healthier coping skills. Don't do drugs.
I thought that was going to be your first one. So
you know,
you made it about tattooing. I was like,
yeah, and you just let me roll with it. No, definitely I would tell myself to, I would let myself know, actually, not even tell myself to do A or B. I would let myself know you are not trapped there is another way to cope. You don't have to just try to turn it off and run away. It's okay to struggle. It's okay to suffer, and just to allow yourself to feel those emotions and to not immediately try to run or suppress them. That it's completely okay. That's
no. 100%, 100%. I wish I would have been able to tell my younger self the same thing. Like, you don't have to shut it off. It's okay to feel your feelings. Actually, it's better to feel them right now when the instant is happening, rather than having to try and heal yourself later on and pick up the broken pieces that you don't even remember how those pieces fit back together anymore. So at that point, it's so far gone that it's even harder to pick up those pieces and heal yourself and feel those feelings and move forward than just dealing with it in the moment. So I definitely agree. I wish I would have known that as well.
Yeah.
To circle back to business stuff, what is something you wish you knew as a business owner?
Something I wish I knew as a business owner is how not necessarily how hard it would be, because I was very prepared for the work ethic required, but I guess how much I would have internalized some of the setbacks. I wish I would have known that that was something to watch out for, that the business of Frankie Ray Tattoos, just because it has my name on it, doesn't directly reflect my performance as a human on planet Earth. I wish I would have known that, because I feel like, especially because my business has the same name as I do, is I definitely personalize all of my business successes as well as all of my business failures, you know? So I wish I would have known to separate those two. What about you, as far as business-wise?
I wish I would have known how much taxes were going to fuck me. God, dude. Like, I wish I would have known more about the back end of the making the money, the taxes, the spending the money, tax write-offs, just kind of how the financial piece of it worked, because I knew how much work it was going to take. I knew about the marketing and the behind the chair hours, the in the studio, not with client hours. I knew how all of that was going to look, cleaning up the studio, because we don't pay for a cleaner. All the things. I knew how all of that, the physical aspects were going to play into part. I didn't realize all of the licensing and the taxes and, like I said, the financial, the emailing, like the back end of the business stuff. I didn't realize what that was going to look like, so I wish I would have known. I don't think it would, again, it wouldn't have changed. That's the thing. As much as I'm like, oh, I wish I knew, I'm also one of those people where when people are like, oh, if you had a book of your life set in front of you, would you read it? I wouldn't, because I don't want to change the course that's put in front of me, because I know that I'm destined for greatness. I know that there is a path that is in front of me that I am completely, for the most part, I'm in control of, because one thing will lead to a different path, but all of my paths are still very, like, parallel. So I don't think that I would read the book, because I don't want anything to change, and I don't want to negate anything that I went through to get me where I'm at today. So as much as I, like, wish I knew it, it's more in the aspect of, like, so I would have been more prepared, not so that I would have done something different or not done it at all.
Yeah. If I had a book of my life, honestly, I wouldn't necessarily read it cover to cover, but I'd skip to the last page and be like, so what's the date of checkout for planet Earth? So I know how much time I have left. That's all I would want to know. Yeah. Do you think that if you had a book of your life, would it be a romance novel? Would it be a comedy? Would it be a tragedy? What genre of book do you think that would be?
Ooh. I feel like mine would be not necessarily a romance, but I feel like the way that I view life, and I am such, like, a romantic, and I don't mean, like, I'm a romantic just in the aspect of, like, my intimate relationships, because I feel like just the way that I view life is very, like, I mean, we have fresh flowers in our shower literally every day. As soon as they die, we're getting new flowers, because it's just one of those things where, like, it keeps us present, keeps us grounded, keeps us, like, you have to appreciate the flowers while they're there, because there isn't really a way to like preserve fresh flowers. They're going to die. Their purpose is to be here, and you think they're pretty, and then they die. So if you're not appreciating them while they're alive, you're going to blink and they're going to be gone. Mm-hmm. So I feel like the way that I like enjoy like a cute little coffee, and I take a picture of the apples at like Trader Joe's because they're all perfectly red and huge. Like, I feel like it would be some sort of like rom-com, not because my life is a rom-com, but because the narrator and me as a character kind of live a rom-com style life. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What about you? Yours would probably be a horror movie.
I think that mine would be a drama series for sure, but it would be like Rocky. It would be a underdog coming up, beating the odds, you know, insert Eye of the Tiger here. Or it would be like
we are not going to do a bloop of a song.
No, so we're not going to. But no, I feel like it would almost be like Katniss Everdeen, you know what I mean? Of just like having to have these things in front of you that you do have to conquer, and you have to go at it with bravery and determination.
Yeah, no, 100%. I totally feel that. Because you are not like the victim in a horror movie. You are definitely the protagonist in a drama, in a thriller, in a action-packed movie where you're gonna kick that bad guy's ass, and you're gonna come out on top.
If it was a horror movie, I feel like it would be Stephen King's It, because, you know, I definitely, you know, even though there have been struggles and tribulations in my life, you know, I faced them head on. No matter how scary that freaking clown was, I still stood up to it and was like, nope, we're gonna keep going, you know?
I feel like yours would be a mix of like It and some sort of action-packed drama, but also a little bit of like the what are those movies called? Why am I blanking?
Are you gonna say the Divergent series?
No, the ones that are like scary but they're really funny.
They're called scary movies.
Okay, that's what I thought. Is it a scary movie? But when I was like thinking that, I was like, no, bitch, that's not it. It would kind of be a scary movie, because also like
where they're making fun of all the stupid movies.
Yeah, because like I feel like on the other side of like everything that you conquer, like you kind of laugh at like all the shit that like has happened, and like I don't know, it's kind of comical.
A little sometimes, you know. You got to be able to laugh at some of these things, because what else can you do? But are you gonna just sit and go, woe is me, I had a bad childhood, or I had a this, I had a that, like...
See, but that's where, like, to circle back to our last episode and many other things that we've talked about amongst other episodes, that is something that keeps both of us just pushing and going, is what am I going to do? Sit back and cry about it? Like, yes, I'm going to feel my feelings, I'm going to heal through it, and I'm going to get through this. I'm going to not, like, negate what I've been through, but also I'm going to use it as my motivation afterwards. That's where so much of that hustle comes from, is because I'm going to keep pushing through and being stronger because of what I've been through. So I feel like that also kind of ties in with all of our other episodes in regards to like, yeah, I've been through this, but like, what am I going to do? Just let it tear me down and ruin me? Hell no. I'm going to keep on fighting the good fight and keep pushing through. So I feel like that kind of...
I feel like also, you know, if I had younger self in front of me, I would have really told her to rely more on inspiration from your heroes, right? Because my heroes are definitely people who have defied the odds and who have had to overcome a lot and have... you know, parallel to things we've talked about in our last episode, you know, who've even had family or friends who've tore them down, right? So a nonfiction hero that I have, which you guys might laugh, but hear me out, is actually Forrest Gump, right? Because that was I know, everybody's going to be like, that's your freaking hero, but hear me out, okay? This guy was born with a learning disability, and his entire life he was told he wasn't going to amount to anything. That you're stupid, you can't do anything, you're dumb, you're this, you're that. He traveled the world. He met the president. He was a war hero. He was an international freaking sports star. Okay, he met the president like 8 times in that movie. He accomplished all of these things, and he got the girl at the end, while everybody else sat in that hometown watching him on TV. Mm-hmm. Okay, mm-hmm. So he not only defied all odds, but everybody who told him that he was nothing had to watch his successes. You know, and I really feel like I wish I would have told younger Frankie, like, no matter what anybody tells you, right, they're gonna end up watching your success story.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Yeah, I wish I would have told younger me too. Like, you don't have to give everybody second chances. If they burn you, they've burned you. You don't necessarily have to throw them to the fire. You don't have to push them completely to the wayside over the first time that they stab you, right? But don't give them the opportunity to stab you 100 times before you let go of them. Mm-hmm. Put some distance between yourself so that if they are going to stab you, they got to use a lot longer of a sword. You know what I mean? So that it's not so, oh, it's fine, I understand why they did that. And I don't give people excuses at all anymore. But it took a long time to get there. Mm-hmm. So I wish I would have learned sooner that I need to put myself first in that aspect. Mm-hmm. You're not going to hurt me, talk to me a certain kind of way, treat me some type of way, and continue to have backstage passes to the show. Mm-hmm. You are lucky if you get nosebleeds access anymore. So,
yeah, for sure. What do you think was the biggest turning point with setting those boundaries for yourself?
Probably just, honestly, everything that I had to learn while going through a divorce. My last marriage was not great.
Not great.
To say the least. And then as it continued to come to an end, it was becoming extremely toxic, again, just to say the least, and keep it PG. That's a story for another episode. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really when I had to be like, nope, enough's enough. And I really had to learn to not only heal myself, but set those boundaries so that it wasn't going to happen again. So I think that's where a lot of that came from, because I feel like before that, I let a lot of people in my life just kind of do and say whatever the hell they wanted to, where at that time is when I really started to inflict boundaries with my family, my friends, and in my intimate relationships. And since then, I feel like it has shifted dramatically, and my circle has shrunk significantly, because I'm not going to accept, first of all, I'm not going to accept something that I wouldn't do to somebody else, but I'm definitely not going to accept less than the bare minimum. That's no longer an option.
Yeah. So. And I think that really says a lot for your growth and self-respect, because that saying is, we accept the love we think we deserve. Mm-hmm.
We're gonna talk about that for you later when we're off screen.
Yeah.
What else would you tell baby Frankie, teenage Frankie? I think another thing I would tell myself is, like, quit fighting with Frankie. You guys are going to wind up together anyways. I would be like, quit breaking up and getting back together. Quit fighting about the dumb shit. Just love each other, enjoy your youth, and know that everything will work out and you guys will be back together. Because one of the things you used to always say is, if we're meant to be, the stars will bring us back together. And here we were, fucking 400 some miles apart, and these stars brought us back together. Okay, the stars really never kept us apart, and here we are. We're right back where we started. So I wish I would have known to not waste so much time, like, bickering and arguing and, like, breaking up and getting back together. Like, just either hold on, let go, give it a pause, whatever we had to do, instead of making it so dramatic and tumultuous. But of course, we had to do that. We were teenagers.
Literally,
we had to make something
the
dramatic.
world was always ending. The world, like the smallest thing could set us off. Especially me at that age. I was going through quite a bit. And if I was even able to talk to that version of myself, I would genuinely tell her that it's okay to just simply exist. I'm gonna get like misty-eyed fucking saying that, to be honest with you, because like growing up it felt like existing was a mistake, because the things that I went through was oftentimes falsely put on me. Like it was my fault that these things happened, or it was my fault that I experienced what I experienced. And if I got to really just sit down with that version of myself, I would genuinely tell her that it's okay to just exist, and that nothing that has happened, nothing that your parents have done, it's not your fault, because it wasn't, and that's something that I had to learn the hard way later on in life. And I feel like
later on isn't like now.
Yes. But I feel like, that sort of guilt and that shame and that misery came out a lot in our relationship as kids, because it was almost like I was expecting you, even at that age, I was expecting you to treat me the way that my parents or my family was. I was expecting you to throw me to the wayside. Should I act out or should I do this? And I immediately was like, well, I'm not going to sit around and watch you leave. I'll fucking leave you first. And then you were sitting there like, bitch, what the fuck are you doing? So.
Well, you're just now starting to realize that safety doesn't always have to end in being scared, being hurt, being beaten down, abused. So, I mean, unfortunately, you were still in such a toxic and survival style environment that you wouldn't have been able to tell yourself that, because you were still fighting. You were still actively in survival mode. That's why I say, like, I wish we would have been able to just, not make it so dramatic. Just to, I guess also, like, I wish I would have known so much of what you actually were, like, going through and what you went through. I feel like while I knew, I didn't know the severity of it, you know? And so I feel like that would have also helped shape, not just our relationship, but even potentially, like, the relationship that the way my parents viewed our relationship. I feel like they definitely would have been like, come on, baby Frankie, come stay at our house, like, that much more often, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Opposed to being like, no, it's a fucking school night, you know what I mean? Let alone, like, multiple nights in a school week. So I feel like it would have been easier for you to have a place of sanctuary, per se.
Yeah, and, that's something else I wish I was able to tell myself, is that it's okay to talk about these things, despite what maybe some of the people who were hurting me said. You know what I mean? Because when you have people who are hurting you, or who are doing things that they know they shouldn't be doing, whether that's parents or, whoever, it's all very secretive. It's all very like, don't tell about this, or even, as simple as being left alone, you know what I mean? Because that was the other thing that was really difficult as a kid, is I went through some very traumatic experiences, and then, my father was never really in the home, and my mom, she got a boyfriend and started traveling and things like that, and being alone for, weekends at a time, and sometimes weeks, or when I got older, months at a time. That being alone with your own thoughts after you've gone through so many traumatic experiences as a child, that really plays a role in just, your mental health and how you view the world overall. And I wish I was able to tell myself to push through that, and to not let the isolation be such an easy choice.
Yeah. That's I definitely notice how you are so much more open. Even when KK was in town last weekend, I know I I was either just about to get in the shower or I had just gotten out, and I heard you guys talking about some pretty severe topics in your life, some things that you're slowly like opening up more and more about. And I know how impactful that's going to be on your healing to, one, not let the people who did you wrong hide in secrecy anymore. It's really going to be powerful to take your power back and voice what happened to you by also kind of ripping them out of the shadows and being like, no, fuck you. Like, you're a horrible human and you deserve to be called out for it. So I was like in there and I was like, oh, I'm so happy that she's you know? And I was like being like a mouse because I was like, I don't want her to hear that I'm out here and like get distracted by me and not talk about her shit anymore. So I was over here like,
yeah.
And I was like, yes, talk to somebody, babe.
Yeah. Well, even with that, you know, that secrecy that comes out when you are a child that experiences abuse or neglect or anything like that, when it's somebody that you know, and it's someone that's predominantly in your life, you feel this innate sense to protect them, you know? And I feel like that was really true for me, and I wish I would have told myself, like, little Frankie, you deserve more protection than they do, you know? And that inherently, by you protecting them, does not mean that someone is going to come to your rescue and your aid, because ultimately I feel like that was something that I was craving so much as a young kid that I never got. Is I just wanted someone to swoop in and come and save me, and you know,
it's Captain Save-A-Ho. I'm right here.
You are Captain Save-A-Ho, yeah, for sure.
I'm right here. I've got you.
But I wish I would have told myself that, you know, it's okay to talk about it, and by talking about it, I can become my own savior.
Yeah.
You know?
100%. And we've talked about how with that, at some point in our life, we will give safe space for other women and children to be able to come forth and speak about their stories and be able to just kind of use your powers for even more good. Not just for your protection, your safety, and your story, but for other people, because as much as we've talked about, like, it is so fucking common. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's really a sad reoccurrence in women, I feel like.
Yes.
You know, and it's an unacceptable reoccurrence.
100%.
And the crazy thing is, you know, the statistics are 1 in 3 women, but then we never talk about, you know, so how does that translate to men? You know what I mean? If it's 1 in 3 women, 1 in how many men? You know?
Yeah.
So
that's where it becomes not all men.
Yeah. Yeah, and, you know, I also wish, you know, I would have told myself, maybe don't blame the entire world for the things that have gone wrong in your life, you know? Because I feel like I had for a while an outward animosity, not even towards the people who have hurt me, but towards the entire world.
And it's not the whole world, right? There are a lot of evil people in the world, and there's a lot of people that will protect evil people. That's where I say, it's not all men, because I literally just saw a post where it was like, if there's 10 men around, one of them makes a awful, horrible joke about women or whatever, and 4 of them don't say anything, 2 of them laugh, 3 of them just smile, whatever the deal was. And it was like, but none of them spoke up. None of them said, hey, man, that's not right. And that's where it falls into this continuous domino effect where the people that are no longer considered in the circle of shit, poopy, crappy, ugly humans are the very few people that speak up and stand up. And honestly, there are so few men that do that. And if you're watching this and you're like, oh, I'm not one of those guys, then fucking prove it. Right. Fucking do better. But it's always women. Women will stand up and be 100%. There for each other way more than a man will ever stand up and protect even their own family, which is ridiculous. But and so to the point, like, well, it's not the whole world. There is a whole world out there of people that do protect people that don't deserve protecting and leave the people that deserve protecting out here raw and open.
Yeah. What's something that if you had baby Becka, you know, in front of you, Knowing every trauma that you've been through now, what's something that you would say to her as far as trauma goes?
I would probably, first things first, very similar to what you just said, like, it's not your fault. There, in no way, shape, or form is any of this something that you did or a result of how you acted or something you said or did. But I would also let her know that she's going to get through everything and she's going to be a better version of herself. And I know, like, I almost have to think of it as like talking to my daughter opposed to talking to me as myself, because when I think of saying something like that to my daughter, it makes me be like, ugh, because like I would never tell my daughter like, oh, it's okay, honey, this is gonna make you stronger. But like that's what I would tell baby me, because I'm me now and I know how it affected me and what it did to me. If it was my daughter, I'd be like, we are going to get through this. Mm-hmm. You are going to be okay. You are loved. What do you need in this moment? Mm-hmm. So putting it in a perspective which is so telling of like the healing journey that I'm on, of like having to put it in perspective of like what I would say to baby Frankie, or when we have children, and like how I would talk to my daughter about something like that versus like how I would say it to like baby me, who's technically older me, who's already experienced it. You know what I mean? So I would definitely start out with like, you're going to be okay, you're going to get through it. And unfortunately, I would also, to my younger self, be like, it's going to shape you into a boss-ass bitch that you never even fucking saw coming. So, yeah, I would, that's, what would you, reverse?
Reverse.
Uno reverse.
Uno reverse. You know, like I said, I would just, I feel like I wouldn't even talk to myself like I would a daughter, because I agree with you. I wouldn't say, well, I suppose if it was my daughter, I would say, like, you know, it's not your fault, but I would also say, like, we're going to get justice for what has happened. Yes. If it was my daughter, I definitely wouldn't say a lot of the things that were said to me growing up. But I feel like if it was just me sitting in front of my younger self, the biggest thing that I would say is just, you are going to be okay. Like, that everything is going to be okay and it gets better. You just need to give it time to heal. And I know that sounds cliche, you know, but time really does heal. But
things are cliche in healing for a reason. It's because they have continued to work from professionals. They have continued to work for people on a personal level. There is a reason these things are cliche. Because, yeah, I agree. I would definitely tell myself, like, it's going to be okay. It's going to suck to get through it. But on the other side of it, it's going to be a whole lot better. It's not going to be easy to get there. But much like our last episode, right? Like, the sooner you start working on it, the sooner you'll get to reap the fruits of your labor, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and that goes for healing as well. And for getting through traumatic scenarios in life, is the sooner you start healing and the sooner you start navigating what that looked like and how it affected you, destroyed you, broke you, you will get onto the other side of the healing and be stronger and more put together.
Yeah. On a different note, what's something that you would not be surprised to hear if you told your younger self?
Like, what would my younger self be like? Oh, yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
Well, depending what age you asked me, younger me would probably be like, oh, of course you're still with Frankie.
Same. I was literally going to say that. I'm like, of course you're still with Becca.
Younger me would not be surprised that I have pink hair. Younger me would be surprised that I have cats, because my dad was always like anti-cat. My younger me would be like, you have 5 cats?
Yeah.
Like, younger me wouldn't be surprised that I have a bunch of animals, but cats, like, she would be, like, excited. Like, she would be like, hell yeah.
Yeah, well, I feel like that's like saying, you know, telling someone that you can't have chocolate, and now you can, so you're gonna go, like, crazy with it, you know what I mean? So. And
I've always wanted so many tattoos, so, again, not that she would be, like, surprised, but she'd be real excited, because she'd be like, of course you do, yay, what do they look like, you know? Mm-hmm. So just on that superficial level, I feel like younger me would not be surprised that I no longer live in Minnesota.
So
there's that.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like Baby Frankie would definitely not be surprised that you and I are married. I'd be like, well, duh. Like, what do you mean? Like, for sure. I feel like Baby Frankie wouldn't. I would be excited to find out that I was a tattoo artist and I own my own business. I feel like Baby Frankie would be more in disbelief and think that was really, really cool. Yeah. You know what I mean? I feel like Baby Frankie would think that I'm super rad, especially with the Mustang that I drive. I feel like Baby Frankie would be like, whoa, you are so cool. You know? Like, and I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't have been surprised at the fact that I have tattoos, especially the little anchor on my face.
I was just thinking that. I can't believe that.
I literally I've wanted this anchor on my face since I was 12 years old.
Oh, look at that little girl in the parking lot.
Oh my gosh.
She's just like Cinderella.
ADHD moment. We see a baby in the parking lot and our uteruses are screaming. That is so adorable. That's going to be our daughter. You know, and you know what? We're gonna look at this video in 10 years' time, and we're gonna ask ourselves the same thing, and we're not gonna be surprised that we have freaking a daughter who's a princess. Yep. Watch, we end up having 2 boys.
One of them will probably be dressed as a princess.
One of them will be a drag queen, a real sissy.
Frankie.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you wish you could go back and tell Baby Frankie?
I would tell Baby Frankie to not worry, that your happy ending is definitely in store for you, and everything that you have wanted, you will get. Mm-hmm. You know, because I genuinely feel like everything that Baby Frankie wanted, as far as like, you know, I wanted to marry you, I wanted a cool car, I wanted a cool job, I wanted to just, you know, do all these fun little things. I'm blessed enough to be able to say that I've done them.
I was thinking the same thing. Like, I feel like I have done so far so many of the things that little me dreamed of, wanted to do, wanted to accomplish, and that's a blessing. Yeah, mm-hmm. That's amazing to be able to be like, no, I've done those things. I would surprise my younger self because of where I'm at.
Yeah, for sure. When I was a kid, I actually wrote like a list of 101 things I want to do before I die. And so far, the only things that I have not crossed off is learn how to do a backflip and go scuba diving. Those are the only things. But I don't know that I would try to do a backflip right now. I feel like that's a great way to get hurt.
Now that you said that, I'm pretty sure that like the note that we wrote ourselves in like 8th grade or whatever to give ourselves our senior year, I'm pretty sure says in there like, are we still dating Frankie? And in senior year, I was like, whoop, sure not. And now I'm like, oh, well,
here we are again.
Fuck.
You know, I also saw a thing on Facebook that said, you grew up to be the adult that younger you would have felt safe with. Mm-hmm. And I genuinely feel like that's true for the both of us. I feel like the younger version of ourselves would have took very big inspiration in who we grew up to be.
100%. 100%.
You know? Yeah.
Well, you guys drop in the comments what you wish you would have known at a younger age, or even just 10 years ago, because I feel like we're at this turning point in life of learning so much about ourselves and learning so much about the world in a different light. So drop in the comments what you wish you would have known, and if you can relate to any of the things that we wish we would have known. Mm-hmm. And we will catch you guys in a week. So
adios, guys.
Bye, baddies.